ever searched for best travel gear for kids and end up coming up with like 17 different types of items that they think that you should have, well, this video is for you. Because after traveling to more than 30 countries as a mom, I can tell you I have tried just about everything. So I'm sharing today what my top items are for best travel gear items for kids, and I'm sharing them with you. Because after traveling to more than 30 countries as a mom with my kids, I have learned something very important. And that is, you do not need all the things. You do not need every airplane gadget. You don't need a suitcase that turns into a bed or any of the other fancy gizmos and gadgets that the internet says you need. Some gear is just one more thing for you extra to carry because you had to have it, but then it's never used. So today I'm talking about travel gear that is actually worth it after years of traveling with my kids by myself. These are things that have made flights more manageable, road trips more manageable, hotel stays more manageable, and solo traveling with kids that's just a little less chaotic. I'm also going to share with you the things that I would personally skip. Again, these are things that I've tried and didn't really work out for me, but everything is going to be based on how your family flows when you travel. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Felicia and I am the backpacker mom, and I have traveled to more than 30 countries as a mom and more than 50 countries around the world. And I share the real life, messy in between stories and tips about how to travel with your kids because I've already done it. So this is my honest list of my best travel gear for kids. So let's get into it. All right, first on the list is snacks. I know snacks technically aren't a travel gear item, but let's be real. The basis of any good travel day starts with your good entourage of snacks. So make sure that your snacks are absolutely packed, and packing good snacks is also really, really crucial. You don't want just random snacks shoved into a bag that by the time you pull them out, it's just crumbs in a bag. You want to be really strategic about what you're packing. Things that are going to do well with depending on what your mode of transportation is. Are you driving? Is it a train? Is it a plane? A boat? Fill in the blank. Always think about the mode of transportation and pair that with the type of snacks that you want. So like for planes, I like individual packs of dry snacks, or things that I can put into a Ziploc bag and divide between the kids. I like the pouches for babies, and even for my daughter, I have lots of pouches that even she will eat of applesauces and protein packs and things like that. Pouches, 10 out of 10. I will recommend those every single day of the week. But also things like dried fruits, snacks, fruit snacks actually. Sometimes I even get just bags of cereal to be able to something easy to snack on, things of that nature. Very dry, easy, and less messy. For road trips though, obviously I do things a little bit differently because we'll have a cooler. I can have snack containers that can be cold, so I add fruit in there. I add sandwiches in there. I have cheeses and snacks like that because I can have a way to keep them cool and refrigerate them. Obviously, for shorter flights, I can have the same concept, but for longer flights, I don't want to worry about also getting a stomach bug by eating warm or gross cheese to our travel itinerary. Not in the plan. Because I'll tell you what, if you plan correctly and keep your kids happily fed with snacks and meals throughout the entire journey, the entire day gets way easier. Because when hunger strikes for kids, it is not just hunger, it is an international crisis, or at least feels like one. So I started getting more into the individual containers for my kids, especially when we're doing the long road trips. Things that we can share, but also they know that this container's mine, that container's yours, and that's it. If you run out of yours, that's all. If somebody's willing to share, that's up to them, but it helps keep out all of the fights in between siblings as well. My next essential is a good kid's backpack. And this, of course, is going to be dependent on the size of your kid. So for my son, he has like a little Carter's backpack that has a few small toys, 1 or 2 pouches for like emergency snacks, and his water bottle. And these are things that he can carry with him if we are out and about throughout the day, throughout walking through airports and TSA security. And he is now responsible for that because as the age of 2, he is able to start carrying some of his own stuff. My daughter, obviously, she's older, so she has a lot more in her backpack. But the biggest thing that I always recommend to parents is pack for the age and always include your kids because travel is involved, carefree and not having any responsibilities. It really does become more of a family travel day when you're able to be not only responsible for your stuff, but you also understand that if I'm bringing these things, I chose them. It's, if I chose a toy for my daughter and it wasn't something that she wanted, well, then I am now like, oh, well, crap, I chose wrong. But if she picks it, then that is her choice and she has to continue living with that choice throughout our entire trip. It changes the mindset quite a bit when you start becoming responsible for your own stuff and the weight behind that stuff. Big thing though is don't overpack them, because I can tell you from experience, my daughter, who likes to pack 4 books to go on a short road trip, starts having to think about the weight and how much do you really want to carry that weight when it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning and we're having to get through TSA security and get to our gate, change airplanes, go in and out of hotels. When the weight at first thing in the morning, you definitely have to think about that. So best thing about the kids' backpack, you want light, easy, and responsible. The next thing to go in that backpack is definitely your headphones, because you need headphones. It doesn't matter where you're traveling or the mode of transportation, headphones are an absolute essential. One, if you're traveling on a plane or a train, they're required. So if you're using your tablet or the kids are using a tablet for anything, or a cell phone, and you're playing a game that has noise, or you have a movie or a show or whatever it is that they're using the screen for, if it has noise, they have to have headphones on. That's just the rule. However, when you're also doing a road trip, personally, I like being able to listen to my own music when the kids are having their tablet time. I also recommend looking for headphones that are durable, can compact into a smaller thing, and I also recommend heavily that you have one with an aux cable and Bluetooth capable, because sometimes the Bluetooth in the back of the TV screen on an airplane doesn't always work compatibly, so relieving that frustration and having the aux cable is gold. I even do that for my own headphones as well as the kids, and it alleviates a lot of stress. All right, next, obviously, tablets. I'm not going to go over this one very long because obviously so many people are working with phones and computers, tablets, devices these days. So I always just recommend make sure that everything that you want on there is downloaded ahead of time before you leave and have spotty internet, because you never want to trust the Wi-Fi in a hotel or an airport, because it is not going to be fast enough to download movies or music or apps or those things, especially if you are running out of battery. So tablets, always make sure that you have them loaded up and charged up, because you don't want to worry about having an almost dead battery before boarding a flight. But if you do, then we're going to go into my next item, which is a portable charger. Because again, when you're traveling, especially like for me traveling as a mom by myself, my phone becomes everything. It is the map, it's the translator, it has my boarding passes, it has the tickets for all of our events that we do. It becomes my little go-go gadget. And when you're using it more than you do like when you're at home, obviously your battery gets drained a lot faster. If you're in a foreign country and you have international turned on, your data is running longer because it's roaming and all the other technical words. But I always recommend having a portable charger with you in your bag when you're out and about and when you're on the plane, so that way you just don't have to worry about a dead battery when you land or what have you. Next on my list is packing cubes. And I know that packing cubes, this is a love or hate situation. Some people absolutely love them. Other people are like, don't waste your time, don't waste your money. This is the reason why I like them and the reason why I don't like them, because I'm a love hater in the same thing. I love having my packing cubes, especially when we are all sharing a carry-on item or a suitcase. So there are different color codes that I have for each kid, which makes it very easy for them and me to know who has what and what belongs to who. Pink bags, green bags, blue bags, everybody has their own color, and it just makes one bag travel way easier. The reason I don't like them is sometimes they don't actually pack as well when you're in your suitcase as you would really want them to. So again, this is a love-hate situation. But if it works for you, then I love that for you. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay too. Next on the list is a lightweight carrier or stroller. Now, I know as far as the name The Backpacker Mom goes, obviously my preference is that I don't usually have a stroller. I have been carrying my kids since infancy, and when I finally had to stop carrying my daughter, she was almost about to turn 5, and her legs were so long they were taking me out at the back of the knees. It's clear indication she's old enough to not be carried anymore. However, there have been situations and scenarios where a stroller is an easier option, especially when, for me, I have had options where I have chosen to do my travel stroller because of temperature and worrying about babies overheating and heat exhaustion. So a good example, last summer we were here in Virginia before we moved here, and it was so hot that I could not fathom having my son, who was a tiny heating blanket, on top of me or touching me in any way, shape, or form. It would be too dangerous for him because he's going to be sweating and soaked through. It'd be too dangerous for me, and everyone was going to be grumpy and uncomfortable. I knew when the heat beat me, and I had my stroller. But I have also, my general rule of thumb is having a carrier, because when we travel overseas in Europe, you have things like cobblestones, narrow streets, small cafes that don't really like seeing strollers coming into the restaurant. Things like that, where having a stroller ends up becoming more cumbersome than helpful. So figure out where you're going and how your family flows, and figure out which one works best for you. If you have a small carrier that folds up small and is easy to pack, I would recommend just bringing both and see where the day takes you. But if you only have to pick one, pick the one that's going to be best for your family. Along those same lines with traveling internationally, car seats and boosters. So car seats and boosters is something that if I'm traveling internationally, I almost never bring my car seat with me. And that is because not every car seat is legal for every country. There might be a car seat that you absolutely love here in the United States, or you absolutely love in Italy, but it doesn't transfer to France or Belgium or Thailand or Laos or back to the United States. Every country has different, slightly different rules, if not completely different rules. And so for me, I drop the weight and I just rent one with my car rental, because if I'm already renting a car, it's so easy to just add the car seat on top of that rental. And it's one less thing for me to haul around, one less thing for me to worry about. All right, my big dazzling one. You ready for this? Water bottles. I know, it's thrilling. But water bottles can be a make or break, because dehydration is a big, serious thing. And making sure that you have reusable water bottles that have a good, nice, tight seal on it is really, really imperative, because you really don't want to put a water bottle into your backpack that might have your money, electronics, important documents, and suddenly they have all been baptized because you don't have a good water bottle with a good seal on it, or a water bottle pocket in the backpack that you have. What have you, I always have a good water bottle for my kids and for myself that is durable, will keep ice cold while we're traveling, and has a good seal on top. 10 out of 10 recommend. Next on my list is because I have kids, period. And that's obviously what this video is about, but I have kids, which means kids can also be very accident prone. And accident prone means that you've got owies. And owies mean that you need Band-Aids and a first aid kit. So I actually have a little tiny zip bag that I keep all of my essentials in. I've got something for, I call it my mommy pack. I've got something for stains that come out. So I've got my little Tide pen. I've got Neosporin and Band-Aids. I've got liquid Band-Aids in there for in case it's a little bit deeper and I need to get something sealed. I've got Tylenol, both kids and adults. I have things for anti-itch in case you get bug bites. I've got a little thing of bug spray, hand sanitizer, baby wipes, and a hair tie. It's an easy essential packet that is this big by like this big. So it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's really easy to be able to keep on hand, even in a day bag, in case somebody falls down and gets hurt or is getting eaten alive or whatever the scenario may be. Just pack the few essentials if you only have a little bit of room, but absolutely always have things that you can have a Band-Aid on, like Neosporin, like even the little spray ones that they have, the travel ones. Band-Aids, I always bring Tylenol just in case, and then also having hand sanitizer and baby wipes, and or like travel size tissues, because you never know if the bathroom is going to be stocked with soap and toilet paper. So bring them. Next good piece of equipment is going to be good weather gear. And I always recommend weather gear that packs small. I also have an easy rain jacket that is bright, so I'm easy to identify in case it's raining. My husband or my kids can see, hey, that's mom's color, because it's bright and flashy. but it folds up into a bag this small. And so it doesn't take up a lot of room and ends up becoming an essential comfort item because I don't want to walk around when it's raining out and not have any kind of protection. Small, compact, and always think about layers. If you can get some good weather gear that is small and durable and you can add layers to it, you are golden. Next, I recommend, and I've mentioned it a little bit before, but is also to have your day bag. Lightweight, easy, you can roll it up and put into a suitcase or another backpack so that way you have something easy that you can take out and just put your stuff in that you're going to need for the day. You don't need your big, heavy airport backpack. You just something small that you can put things into because obviously water bottles and things like that aren't going to fit into pockets. And so always have something that's like a small day bag that you can have all of your essentials in for emergency snacks, your little medicine kit that I just talked about, a bottle of water, and things of that nature to have an enjoyable, adventurous day out exploring. All right, next is one that I started implementing this system when I was traveling during COVID, and that is a document organization kit or bag or file or whatever it is you want to use. I have this little plastic file that I can just stick things into and I can close it up with a little button, and I have everything with me that is also mostly waterproof. We're going to say it's water resistant. So I put all of our documents in there for tours that we have that are confirmed, so that way I don't have to pull up my phone. I can have all of our documents in there for boarding passes, hotel confirmations, and any kind of parental slips that I need to make sure I bring with me. And then I also make sure I have a digital copy of everything. And I mean everything. We have social security cards, birth certificates, passports, not only just the picture on the front, but the barcode in the back. Keep pictures of those because if you ever have an issue with not having your passport, make sure that you have pictures of those because you can go to an embassy or to a passport location and they can reissue it to you really quickly. So an emergency situation, do that. But we have picture documentation backups of everything. So I always recommend have a paper copy just in case you don't have service or your phone or whatever, and then have your digital copy as a backup. All right, my last one is entertainment without screens. Now I know this is one that boggles a lot of people's minds, but I don't actually go to the screen first. And for me, we have a system on, we have to be traveling for a certain duration of time before I give screens out. And that's just how we do things. So I like having a backup of toys. And my rules are, it has to be used for more than one thing for entertainment. It cannot be bulky with one purpose. Something that can keep hands and brains busy by doing some type of hand-on busy work. The only big bulky thing that I have is a paint pad for my son that lights up and he can draw on it and paint with it, and it doesn't make a mess. But it's flat and fits into a bag very easily. But again, that's like the biggest, bulkiest thing that I have without having multiple purposes. So the key word there is simple and not bulky. You want to be able to have a very easy, streamlined process for having extra toys with you that doesn't take up a lot of space. Or something that has a lot of extra pieces, because if you have a lot of small pieces, like 47 million pieces that suddenly go from the tray to underneath your seat to the back of the plane, not ideal. Things that can be contained, not tiny bazillion pieces, and will keep them entertained for long periods of time. So top things that I would say take away from this entire video is you don't need all the things that people say you do. Find a system that works for you. Light, not bulky. Will you use it more than once? Do you want to carry it at 5 o'clock in the morning? Can your kids help you carry it as they get older? Ask yourself these questions and then start picturing what your travel gear really looks like, because I'll bet you anything it's going to be less than you think. So what do I skip? Bulky items, 100%. The biggest bulky thing that I keep with us when we're traveling is for my son, and it 100% gets a pass because it is really, really necessary. And that's my Hiccapop Blackout tent that goes over his pack and play. Because when we're in a hotel and it's 3 of us to one room and all of my kids have crazy FOMO, trust me, having the Blackout tent helps us exponentially because now he's not worrying about missing out. It helps without light pollution, so that way all the blackout stuff is easy, it breathes, and it gets a pass, period. But for everything else, I don't do things with lots of small pieces. I don't want to lose them, and it becomes more of a hassle to have to try and dig for them. things that are bulky. Again, we just covered that. And most of all, my just in case thing, because if I continually packed from my just in case mindset, I would be so overpacked, it would be ridiculous. It's good to have a variation, one or two things, but don't overwhelm yourself with the just in case scenarios. Pack for the family you have, pack for the kids you have, and pack for what makes sense. Again, having one or two variations in your toys or snacks or in the different types of water bottles that you have totally makes sense. But don't overwhelm yourself with having 5 different types of snacks for a 2-hour flight. You don't really need that many snacks for a shorter flight, because this is what traveling to over 30 countries as a mom really teaches you, is that you find your system. After you have a lot of experience, you know that on shorter flights you can do one thing and longer flights you need another. For longer trips you need a certain thing, for shorter trips you don't. X, Y, and Z. There's a lot of variables because family travel and travel in general has a ton of variables. But having gear like this that's going to help you out more, that is what makes travel more doable. And that is what's really the most important thing, is if it becomes more doable, you are less stressed. And then you can start saying yes to more things. Yes, we can take that trip. Yes, we can go on an adventure. Yes, we can walk that. Yes, yes, yes. Because even though travel is inevitable, flights get delayed, kids are cranky, weather, what have you, there's always a variable when it comes to travel. But if you have good gear and a positive mindset, a lot of that stress can get alleviated. So if you're preparing for your first big trip as a family, let me know. Are there items on here that you think were super, super helpful, or ones that you're like, nah, I could probably do without? Or if you have a lot of experience traveling as a family, what are things that are the best ones for you? What's your favorite piece of travel gear and why? I hope this video was helpful. I would love it if you would subscribe and follow along for more tips and tricks from somebody who travels as a mom around the world with her kids, and my experiences for where we're traveling, what we're doing, and how we're getting there, whether that has to do with the gear we're taking or the transportation we're doing it in. So I would love it to see you on our next one. I'm Felicia, and we'll see you next time.